So I will admit, I know little to nothing about the Zelda games, but there were attempts in my past about trying to play Twilight Princess along with Majora's Mask and like Breath of the Wild. None of them clicked with me. I really couldn't tell you why. I don't know. I'm more of a Harvest Moon fan and a Stardew Valley person, but also like I love Skyrim, so like I don't know why Zelda just never clicked with me. It's just something outside of my radar. But like I said, there were attempts with Twilight Princess when I was when I found it as a kid once at this old video rental store. They had a little corner of games too. I tried it. I think I only had it for like a week and I did not get very far. So when I saw that these mangas were in my local bookstore, I got so excited because this was finally my chance. And now I'm on books 4, 5, and 6. So that's what we're talking about today, and it's a little spoilery, I'll admit, a little spoilery because we're like midway through the series, about halfway done. I think it goes up to about like 11. So first off, just to kind of get out of the way, just some like middle of the road gripes that I kind of have, because like I am enjoying the series overall, but there's a few things that have been consistently not like breaking the story or anything for me, but consistently kind of irking me a little bit. The pacing is way too fast. The pacing is so fast, mainly in 4 and 5, and there's very little like time transitions. I'll get to that in a second. But the pacing is so fast, I actually need to stop myself from reading an entire manga in a day because I won't absorb what's happening. I won't remember what's happening if I read it too quickly. And with the pacing being that fast, it's not really helpful. So I need to make myself like slow down, take in a chapter, and maybe do like half a manga in a day. And sometimes the dialogue is also still just really on the nose. There are moments, and it's not just a this manga problem. There's just a thing I've noticed in like mangas or some animes where like a character will directly turn to the screen and be like, "I'm happy. I'm sorry." It's just weird to me. Maybe there's like some subtle undertones I'm not getting, but a lot of the times it's just like, "No, great, she's happy. Cool, moving on." Or it's meant to show really how much perfectly they are at peace. Like, again, moving on. But I will admit, that's just like more of a nitpick. Overall, the story itself is absolutely fine. The dialogue is kind of just getting its job done. And with the pacing, I mentioned there's no like transitions in between scenes sometimes. Scenes will happen like directly one after the other. With like, sometimes you can tell that like Midna and Link are traveling to destinations. But other times it feels like they just kind of teleport there in like a couple hours. Yeah! Oh, yeah. Oh, you got some words about Midna, don't you, I guess? Hope you don't mind, I'm just petting the cat at the same time. But the moment where I noticed this, like, the most was when we reconnected with Ilia. I don't mind Ilia's sections. I know I'll admit, by the end of this, she doesn't quite feel like the damsel in distress patient girlfriend. She's a pretty good complement to Link. But at first, we reconnect with Ilia, and she's lost her memories. She's in this tavern, and the tavern people are, like being nice to her, giving her a job and everything, and she's supposedly finding her footing as she's working in this tavern, and it feels like a single day has passed. That's it. It feels like a single day passes with her there, and then all of a sudden, turns out it's been like a couple of months, and they couldn't do any of this without her. She's a vital part of this community now. It feels like she's been there for like a day. But I do enjoy her side of the stories. There's this whole plot where she really wants to take care of this little like fish kid, and she's very determined in, helping this kid. And that kid is still tied to the narrative with all of Link's stuff going on. So she's not just like outside of the narrative, her own little bubble doing her own thing. She is still woven into the narrative well enough where she's not just there. She does have like a purpose in this narrative. I'll admit it's a smaller one, but it's something. And I do actually want to ask, like, in regards to this being like a video game adaptation, and we're mainly playing as Link, how much of Ilia's story was shown in the game? Like, do you ever get to play as Ilia? Kind of walking around the tavern? I don't know. Or is that mostly shown through like maybe flashbacks or some like narrative dialogue where they're just kind of filling in exposition wise of like what she's been doing here? Do we get to see any of that in the game? And that's just like the books fleshing it out? I'm not sure. Because in the game, we're so closely with like Link and Midna, right? And speaking of Midna, I am so glad that in this little section, mostly in like books 4 and 5, I think mostly 5, we finally get to see like her little human self, and we get to see her backstory and her secret little friendship that, again, I don't know if it happened over the course of like a couple of days, couple of weeks, or like a year, but they were kids at one point and they saw each other through like a mirror. And that was just a nice little dynamic that I didn't know that I needed. Also really did help set up Midna's like motivations for a lot of the decisions that she's making, but also just in regards to like her character and like how she sees herself in the Twilight realm as a whole and the people of light as a whole. So that's pulling off a few things. That backstory is pulling off a few things, and it's raising a couple of questions too, which I'm all for. I'm also wondering if they're going to pull off. I don't want to get too spoilery. Like, we're into spoilers, sure, but I don't want to get like, I don't want to give away like big elements. Like, if you've read it, if you've played it, you know what I mean. But are they going to pull off like a Gandalf the Grey moment, resurrecting into Gandalf the White? Do you know what I mean? Don't actually answer. Please don't actually answer. But there was a moment where a certain thing happened to a certain character, and they vanished, and I'm sitting there going like, wait, what? Also, we're finally getting hints of Ganondorf. I'll admit, in regards to me just knowing nothing about Legend of Zelda stuff, I thought his name was just Ganon. Is his name just Ganon in some of the games and Ganondorf in some of the games? Because the moment I heard Ganondorf, I'm like, a little less intimidating, but I still like him. And I know he's like our main villain. I know he's like our big bad guy. So when Twilight Princess kind of started off with General Zant, I was a little less interested in him. I don't really care about Zant. I'm here for Ganondorf because I know he's supposed to be the bad guy. But Zant is more personal for Midna. So that's totally fair. He's her villain. I get that. Ganondorf is Link's villain. I get that. But now we're getting the build up to like the big main villain. I'm excited there. So moving on to book 6, that's kind of why I have this one like propped up, because this one was absolutely my favorite actually so far. Moving on to book 6, we're reunited with some allies. We meet some new friends. We get the Master Sword, and the reverence of just getting the Master Sword taking up a whole chapter. I'm like, is there going to be a fight? Is there going to be a battle? Does he need to earn this? No, it's tucked away in a little temple that, like, I think a past version of him set up. And he just waltzes in, takes it, and leaves. Even the people guarding it are like, oh, Master's back! Go right ahead! I love reincarnated heroes. I do, okay? I grew up on Sailor Moon. But when you're setting up the Master Sword to be earned by this grand hero, and he just waltzes in and gets it. Like, I know he's the grand hero. I know he's already earned it. But maybe it's just a me thing. Maybe it's just a me thing because I know nothing else about Legend of Zelda. I haven't seen him earn it yet. But I know he's earned it. I am a sucker for reincarnated heroes, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. If you know any other stories that have like a reincarnated hero or some kind of like cycle like that, let me know. I'd be into reading more of those. Also with mainly book 6. You know how I mentioned my biggest gripes for like the pacing and the dialogue so far? I didn't really have those problems in book 6. It's still quick and still kind of, on the nose, but also it's just subtle enough dialogue-wise where like, yeah, you're just getting the job done, but I can tell that there's still like an underlining factor here, that it's the subtext is there and the pacing slowed down just a touch. And that's really all I needed. I just needed it to slow down just a touch. I think because we were settling into this moment of Link not really being okay, and this like evil Link persona showing up, that was fun. The moment I saw him on the cover too, I'm like, who is he? I like him. Who is he? That was a fun fight. Although I will also say it was a little quick on Link's part to go from our like ever so humble and like not quite confident hero, likable guy to being this like overly confident, a little too much of a dick badass in like 2 pages. But I also get that that happens almost directly after he interacts with this like shard of a mirror from the Twilight Realm, which has been known to like possess a person and like draw out their worst features. So I know it's the mirror kind of facilitating all of this. It's just very quick. But that was a fun series of events, and I am worried about my boy. And speaking of Link too, people trust him very quickly. Again, I think that's just part of the pacing and maybe the video game dynamic of like we're the main character. We kind of need to go, play the game. We need to do things. We need to get missions from people. But in a context of like a book, people seem to trust Link very quickly. There are some cases where he does have to earn it. Like I know he's earned it with Russell, but for a while there's that bit with Ilia when she's in the tavern and she's like lost her memories. I can get maybe she like subconsciously trusts this new guy, but the rest of the tavern also automatically kind of trusts the new guy. It's not all the time, But it does feel like there's a 50-50 shot of like whenever we're introduced to a new character of like, are they gonna like Link right away? No? Okay, what do we gotta do to earn it? Okay, now we're good? Okay, cool. It's just a little quick. Also, are there no guards or like groups of people within the town, within the city, that are worried about what's happening to the castle? Because it's in like a barrier and everything. And like there's our small group that know what's going on, but there's really no one else. No one else in the city seems to be worried. There aren't like outside guards who notice that like, hey, our princess is kind of trapped in the castle. Maybe we should try chipping away at this barrier or try to like dig underneath it to get back into the castle. No one else seems to really be active in regards to fixing the situation. It's just it doesn't really seem like any of the regular city guards have kind of noticed what's going on and they're, like worried about their boss and princess. It's just a few select characters that know what's going on. You know what? The rest of them, they're all NPCs. So they're all just kind of hanging out. But yeah, like I said, book 6 is absolutely my favorite so far. I think because the pacing did slow down just a touch. And we had that play on Link's character of like, he is getting a little overconfident, and that's kind of biting him in the ass. We got some great reveals in these books. We got some good fights. We got more of the Link and Midna friendship, which is just great. There was a tiny little bit of dialogue that is absolutely my favorite, which is just like Link kind of realized he was about to be cooked into like a soup as a wolf, and then Midna just had a little line of just like, oh, game over then. Just a fun little gaming nod. That was just fun. The pacing is still quick, but it feels like it's adjusting at the same time. And the dialogue is doing its job, but I have questions going forward. I'm excited to see where we go. I like the cliffhanger that I left it on for myself, and I'm excited to finally see Ganondorf. I like a good villain build-up. Anyway, yeah, those are my ramblings for, Twilight Princess episodes, volumes 4, 5, and 6. We're about halfway done, and we've left on like a really good cliffhanger, for myself anyway. Feel free to like and subscribe, leave a comment too if you like. I'd love talking about these kinds of things. Don't spoil anything, please, but I am still curious about my question earlier about like how much of the game do you see Ilya's story? I'm curious about that like balance there within the game. Do you really see any of it, or is it like flashbacks, or is it like dialogue exposition? I don't know. But yeah, I actually need to go at the moment because it's almost dinner time for my cats and they are squeaking at me. Coraline is squeaking at me. She never quite developed to be like a meow. Like she does, but her subtle little like normal conversation voice of just like I need a little attention is just a tiny little like squeak of a meow. But yeah, I gotta go. Hope you guys have a good weekend. See ya.